What is up? Good morning. How is everybody doing on this fine Sunday? I hope you're having a fantastic afternoon. So, depending on where in the world you're at, we're in week 14 now, guys. Week 14 of 15. Like, this is the final, countdown almost, It's like there's copyright, so you can't play any music. But, shit is getting real. We're almost about to start the next phase of the project. So I hope you've been enjoying, and let's get right into it today, right? So the ingredients that I've selected are white pine, dragon's blood, and yarrow. Now, what are these ingredients going to be doing, right? We know that white pine gives the means to stay the course. It is the thing that imparts divine strength because of the ancestors, right? And regardless of how fucked up the road gets, pardon my language, but this is not for children, regardless of how difficult the road becomes, you have opportunity. And even when the forest around it burns, the pine cones open and drop their seed, right? Like, they're waiting for the world to burn. And then they come up and show their full power and grace. And, granted, they fuck up the earth beneath it. Nothing grows in soil where pine trees grow. And it becomes really hard to do anything other than a pine tree there. So, while it's got its good points, it does have a protective element to it. It does have this just conquering, we're going to get it done with divine strength, right? It's a very fiery plant. And so by using these kinds of ingredients, like colophony is the pine resin, right? And that's been used for thousands of years in ritual blends. We're going to be using the bark today. And so we're going to be using this to create that thing which needs to be as a result of our work, and it's the staying of the course regardless of the form that our work takes, right? And the yarrow powder, again, I talked about this a lot yesterday, so mind your allergies, ladies. This acts as not good if you're pregnant, right? But it also gives insight. So we're giving divine strength to stay the course and the insight by which to do it, right? And then I'm going to add in a little bit of the dragon's blood. Now, I like this stuff. This is good stuff. Dragon's blood is one of those resinous blends that, depending on which company you get it from, you can either get a really good version of it or a really shitty version of it. And even though I was supposed to get this from a really good place, there is a change in how they were manufacturing it. So it just kind of puddles and it doesn't have that nice clean burn of some of the higher grades. So this is going to be really shitty if I put it on an incense coal, at least my version of it. So what am I going to use this for? If I'm going to be creating a blend to stay the course, and I'm including the yarrow powder for psychic awareness and an insight, right? And I'm giving the vitality and the potency for the area, right? For the thing that I'm doing, right? Well, with this, I can mix this powder into an ink. I can mix this with the Spell of the Day blend from 2 days ago, which I converted into a decoction. And then I can add that as a boost to that blend. So that way, when I'm drawing with my brushes, when I'm doing this with those things, it allows for that next level of attachment of the spell's principles, of the environmental changes, of the divine strength, and the insight to have that divine strength. So if you're going to be using this in a way that summons up a spirit, right, and you want to get insight from the other world, right, as I deal in necromancy. And so what does that mean? It means getting insight from the dead, getting insight from those on the other side, and the intangible spirits of the earth, those that are made by the trees, those that are made by the roots in their combination, those that are pulled out of the plants in which they inhabit in order to serve the living for the benefit of mankind. Those are not evil. It is the principles of man that determine whether or not those spirits become evil and corrupt. And so with this blend today, this is an honoring of those. So this is to honor those spirits that have crossed over to the other side. This is for those that you need to draw strength from in order to be able to give insight, or to give strength to in order to give them the strength for insight. And so using this blend, it grinds down beautifully because half of my work was already done, because the yarrow powder and the white pine powder were already beautiful. And so adding this blend to adding the dragon's blood to it just makes it this really rich and robust color. And here's the thing, guys. I'll put it on the coals and we'll get some conjurations going. But you know, it's one of those things where as I talk and as I go through this, yeah, it might only be a 5 or 10 minute video, but what I hope that you get out of this is that, you know, you can use these ingredients in a few different ways. And so, like I said, when I put it on the coals, it's not going to burn the best, but at the same time, it's if you've got other ingredients, right? So when the coal is sparking, right, the self-ignition particles within it are going to cause that heat to spread rather quickly. So it only takes about a minute or so. And you want to make sure that your safety tips are that either you use tongs for it, or as soon as it starts to give off those little red sparks, as the lights, you know, while it's pretty, it'll burn the piss out of your fingers. So when it starts sparking, that's when you put it down, right? I've got this inside of a brass and copper mini cauldron that I use for my incense, inside of the larger steel cauldron, right? And the reason for this is so that way it elevates it up off the surface so I don't wind up burning whatever surface that I'm using it on. And let's take a look at a little bit of a deeper principle behind this, okay? When you're creating or elevating the spirits, the intangibles, right? Those things which you can't see, or can you? There was, good morning. How are you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So we've got this incense coal, which is a little bit sparky today. It's popping pretty good. So I'm just going to let the whole thing finish igniting before I put anything else on it. There we go. Got the nice red edges around it. So the ingredients of today are white pine, yarrow, and dragon's blood, and in that order. Okay. And again, it's about creating the divine attachment and the strength to endure whatever situation, whatever fire that's going to come. So that way you can rebirth yourself through those ingredients, through those energies, and that you get the divine insight because of the yarrow and the connection to the other world. And that dragon's blood is that fiery resin in order to be able to connect you to those forces, right? And so I'm going to test this to make sure that I think I've got the quality that I'm looking for. Or no, this is that shit that just puddles. Oh, gross. But it works out well. And you can use this blend to honor the spirits, right? To give them elevation. So that way, as they come forward, as they come through. Oh, I like that smell. That is a nice smell. That's one of those things where you've got the connection to the earth, and you've got that really like of the pine, and then you've got the yarrow, which is that psychic insight. It smells almost like it's because of the way that the pine and the yarrow work against the dragon's blood. It's just this really, it's like a sweet smell, but it's a sweet earthy smell. It's almost like a mint, like a mint incense, but it's not mint. There's no mint in it. It smells kind of minty, at least. Yeah, and this is the dragon's blood that's just pooling and puddling and looking really gross on there. So, you know, watch the quality that you get. Like I thought I was getting, like where I bought it from, it says, "Oh, this is finest quality dragon's blood." Bullshit. You know, they go through and they're making these resin blends and such. and they're doing it in a cheap kind of way where it's got this gross film on the top of it. So when you're using this on coals, right, it's too much of it all at once, at least, is going to smother the coal, right? And so if you're going to use dragon's blood, or at least some of the ones that you get in from the mass availability ones, right? Like even the high-end resin supplier has shit dragon's blood right now. Like whatever they did fucked it up. So just be aware that it's not going to burn as cleanly as it should, right? And so some of the best things that you can do with it while you're not, if you're not attached to an incense fire spell kind of like this one, you can add it to a tincture. You can use that tincture in order to be able to attach that scent to something else, right? You get the vital extract from it. You use, and then you allow it to evaporate off. So you put it into a medium, you allow the alcohol to evaporate off, but the scent is there. But you keep it in a bottle while it's doing that. So you have to make sure that you balance between the alcohol as a means by which the scent is transferred, but the alcohol doesn't leave a residue. Like you don't want the alcohol itself to leave a residue. You want it to not. You don't want it to overpower the blend that you're making, but at the same time, like there are ways to get and extract the virtues of what would be dragon's blood scent, right? Like having a couple of dragon's blood plants and then making the damn resin yourself would be fine, right? So again, that's more of those projects for the Academy of Sorcery project, is to be able to get a garden going and have these kinds of things where we can cultivate the dragon's blood our damn self, because this shit is ridiculous. Like it smells amazing. For ladies that are pregnant, don't use this. But this is an excellent for causing psychic insight, to see around the fuzzy edges, right? And so as we see around the fuzzy edge, this is also great for cleansing. Like it's just lightening up the area in here in the atmosphere. It's just beautiful. Although there is just this giant black bubble on top of the coals. So, you know, be careful with it. Be careful with what you're doing. Make sure that it's safe and you're not burning off your table or anything. Or that when you do use a tincture that you don't, you know, light your house on fire if you try to put it directly on coals, or try to extract the scent from it and then try to light it on fire immediately. There's a process by which you should do that. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed the content, and I hope you enjoy the idea of connecting pine, yarrow, and dragon's blood, because you can use this for a bunch of different ingredients, right? So enjoy making your talismans, stay safe with your smoking blends, and try not to add too much of this shit all at once, because it's like there's some weird plasticky resin that they've put in with the dragon's blood in order to make either more of it, but it just fucks up your coals. So there is always that. So just be aware. And that's been a thing for like the last few years, is that it's been diminishing quality around the world. So I know it's a disappointment, because dragon's blood is such a badass ingredient. Great in powder spells, great in root working, and great in talismans and things like that. But when you're connecting to fire with these things, it doesn't burn as well as it used to. So anyway, this is just some tips and insights. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll just shut up now and enjoy your day. And I will catch you tomorrow morning for the Spell of the Day challenge, the classes that will be run through the groups at noon. So next week, we're going to do a 5-day course, 1 day focusing on each of the primary ritual tools of witchcraft. So for those that you want to join and are available between 12 and 2 p.m. on Monday through Friday, there'll be a class that'll be filmed and stored for the Academy of Sorcery and the Grey School of Wizardry projects. So I look forward to seeing you in the class. If you can make the Zoom in the group, the link will be in the description for the Facebook community if you're not already a part of that. Otherwise, I will see you also at 2 p.m. for the Ride in the Afternoon, where we will discuss or demonstrate or develop or tinker with other aspects of magic. Alrighty, my friends, stay safe, and remember, don't be evil, okay? Bye for now, y'all.